If you like Bush like I do, you're going to make sure to want to go a different direction this week because he is on bye, as well as all of the New Orleans Saints. And also, we never discussed the fact that Deuce McAllister is totally injured and now will not see the light of day anymore this season. So that poor guy, I love Deuce McAllister. I think he's such a good spirit and good running back, and it's sad to see him go down like that, man. It was tough.
You couldn't say I love Deuce. You had to start with anyways. Yeah, the whole Saints, they laid an egg. Well, it's whatever. I'm done with the Saints. I'm done. Anybody that reads our website, testosteronesports.com, read my article I put up about the Saints. I'm pretty much done with them. Let's move on to the matchups of teams that actually show up when they're scheduled to show up.
Yeah, that's right. So also, if you've got any Titans or any Washington Redskins, you're going to want to have something else in mind for this weekend's games. Very important that you make plans for that, starting with your draft preparations so that when the byes come, you can continue your winning ways all the way through and on into the playoffs. So, but for now, some of the teams that are going to be going crazy this weekend, I like the Jets at Buffalo. I think the Jets are going to be very improved this weekend. I saw Thomas Jones start to get things going last week with a 110-yard effort, and I like him to go over the 100-yard mark here again at Buffalo.
Yeah, Thomas Jones makes a good play. Chad Pennington also makes a very solid play, as well as Jericho Cotchery. Basically, everybody on the Jets makes a good play. If anybody's looking for a bye week fill-in at tight end, Chris Baker's probably out there for most of your leagues. It seems like every time the Bills and the Jets play that one of the tight end scores for the Jets. It used to be all the way back to the Kyle Brady days, it seems like for me. So if you need a tight end, fill in right there. He's one of the ones that I've tabbed on our website as well. Yeah. Buffalo side of the ball, Trent Edwards is going to get the start for J.P. Lossman. I wish I could have seen a little bit more of Trent Edwards last week. Can't really trust a team that's starting two rookies, one at quarterback, one at running back. It's not looking pretty for Trent Edwards and the Bills, but I will tell him one thing, the Jets defense is a bend but don't break, so there is some yardage possibilities there.
Yeah, the one running back in Marshawn Lynch should look fairly good, in my opinion. At home, he makes a pretty good start against the Jets defense that does like to bend quite a bit. Another player on Buffalo side of the ball, in my opinion, if they want success, they got to get the ball to Lee Evans. Get him the ball. So far, other teams have just taken Lee out of the game, and he's got great big play potential, and Lossman hasn't been able to get him the ball yet. If Edwards can get Lee Evans the ball, things are going to open up massively for Marshawn Lynch in the running game in Buffalo.
Yeah, they've had a couple of tough matchups for the passing game, against Pittsburgh and against Denver. So those numbers are going to be skewed a little bit, but Lee Evans, those numbers are terrible. And J.P. Lossman going down. Trent Edwards is going to try and find the guy that he knows is the number one guy. So maybe even if he stares down Lee Evans and throws the ball to him, he has the type of ability to where he can make a play. So hopefully Lee Evans owners, you guys can get through another couple of weeks and hopefully
this
he starts
can be
to turn
his
it
week.
around.
So if you've been waiting on him, put him in your lineup and see how he goes. He's at home against a poor defense, and I don't know if it'll be Darrelle Revis or who will be matched up on him, but Lee Evans is going to be better than whoever he's against. So Buffalo needs to get him loose. They're going to look to do that this weekend. A passing game that we know will get going this weekend is Dallas. They host the St. Louis Rams. The Rams totally in turmoil right now. Yeah. Well, I don't know what's going on with them. Steven Jackson, partially torn groin, and Dallas has been rolling. What do you think is going to happen in this game, Yeastie?
Yeah, well, it looks like Dallas is going to roll. I mean, pickups of the week, Brian Leonard, obviously. If we have to tell you to pick up Brian Leonard, you shouldn't be playing fantasy football because you can't, we can't be Captain Obvious here, I mean, Brian Leonard's a guy that you need to go get, especially if you have Steven Jackson. You're going to need him. If you were able to go out and get Brian Leonard on your waiver wire, a free agency, as soon as it came out that Steven Jackson was going to miss some time, hopefully it did. Dallas gives up some yards on the ground. They give up some yards overall, pretty decent, but the offensive line for the Rams is just terrible.
Yeah.
So look for the Dallas D to be nailing Mark Bulger all day long. He's got broken ribs as it is. So if you have Mark Bulger, hopefully you have something else to go with him. I wouldn't start Mark Bulger at all. Gus Frerotte and Ryan Fitzpatrick are actually two pretty decent options there. Actually, Gus Frerotte will be the number 2 guy. I don't even think Fitzpatrick's on the team anymore. Who cares?
He's a backup.
But Gus Ferrotte's the guy that you want if you have Mark Bulger, so you can go with him. That's about all I'd say.
St. Louis is in total turmoil right now. They're looking like a 5-win team. Dallas, totally the other direction. They can run the ball like crazy. And we saw Marion Barber put on a spectacle on, was that Monday night?
Sunday
night.
Yep.
He was great, untackleable. Basically, the 2 touchdowns that he got were the difference in that game. Yep. By himself, he wore down that Bears defense. And I think it could be more of the same here, except for this time it's in Dallas. So it's going to be a drubbing
Yeah, I look for Dallas to roll in this game. Tony Romo and T.O. obviously must starts for you.
Definitely.
Marion Barber, he's the guy. He's got to be in your lineup. It's scary for me to have Marion Barber. I don't have him in any leagues. I wish I did. But it would be scary for me for him to be a guy that, is still a platoon guy, but he puts up starter numbers. He's the number one running back in the NFC right now behind Brian Westbrook. So, he's doing a great job overall. Julius Jones owners, you got to be wincing a little bit right now if you don't have both of them. But T.O., Witten, Romo, Barber, and even Jones, Jones if you need to because of bye weeks. I mean, all of them should be in your lineup.
Yep. Moving right along, Chicago travels to Detroit in a very tough Northern Divisional matchup. It's going to be interesting to see how the upstart Detroit Lions take on a Bears team that totally got trounced by the just spoke about Cowboys. I think that the Bears are going to be able to get things going in the right direction here because Detroit's defense, although they looked fairly good against us, they're really pretty soft.
Yeah, it's overall basically any quarterback that goes against Detroit. If you're at home, I think you're definitely top 5 or 6 quarterback material. On the road, I think you're a top 10 quarterback if you go against Detroit. Their defense isn't looking that great at all. Obviously, if you get 56 hung on you, you're not looking that good. But Brian Greasy steps in for Rex Grossman. This was a play that a few owners in some of my leagues actually made last week, picking up Brian Greasy as a preemptive move for the bye week. So that's one thing I kind of wanted to touch on. If you've got bye weeks in week 6, week 7 that you want to touch on, especially week 6 and 8 where there's extra teams off, get prepared for those a week or two ahead to where you're not you're not in line with the mad dash for everybody to get those players for those weeks. But Brian Greasy takes over the reins. Cedric Benson, I still haven't seen anything from Cedric Benson. He ran well against Kansas City, but everybody runs well against Kansas City. So by default, Cedric Benson should be in your lineup. I actually, in the post I put up on the website this week, said that Cedric Benson's going to get hurt this week. So, I look for Adrian Peterson of the Bears to go in. So, I think Ceddy's going to go down, but before he goes down in the second or third quarter, he should probably get you some points.
Predicting injury has got to be the hardest thing that we try to do. So, good luck to you on that one, Yeastie. You want to double up that lunch bet?
No, I'll take my lunch still.
So, Detroit side of the ball, I don't know what to think about the running game there. I don't think they're going to get much going on the ground. I'm not a real big believer in what Tatum Bell does. I know that Kevin Jones finally stepped in, got a touchdown last week. They're going to probably try to get him a couple carries, although they probably will restrict him, knowing that the Bears bring some heavy pressure on all sides. As far as that goes, we saw a fat 90-yard touchdown from Roy Williams. That's probably not going to happen again. But he should be good. He's a must-start now every week.
Yeah, I don't think that you're going to get the 90-yard touchdowns out of him, but they're definitely going to throw the ball. That's what they do in any Mike Martz offense. Kevin Jones, they're talking about giving him 15 to 20 touches. Calvin Johnson still having issues with his back. Sean McDonald, if for some reason he's still out there on your waiver wire, grab him. He shouldn't be. If you're in any kind of a decent league, he should already be gone. He's going to step into that number 2 spot with Mike Furry also being hurt. And Sean McDonald's put up some great numbers so far early in the year, and he can help you through these bye weeks as well.
I'm loving it.
You are?
McDonald.
Yeah, I hear you. I didn't pick up on that. I'm sorry. You'd think a guy like me would pick up on the McDonald's reference. I'm sorry.
So another big defense or divisional matchup has Seattle going to San Francisco. Seattle has been looking fairly good. Their offense has been clicking. They've made some improvements on defense here in the offseason, bringing over Big Patrick Kearney. That's showing or coming to fruition, and I really think this is going to be a lower scoring game in the NFC West. I do like Sean Alexander to get in the end zone here this weekend. Probably have 100 yards because they're going to want to get it going. And you love Frank Gore every single week.
Frank Gore struggled a little bit. People are down on him. I mean, he hasn't had the huge games that he had last year, the 166 and two touchdowns or something. But he's solid, I mean, he's a solid back. The Niners pretty much dominated the Seahawks last year. They took both matchups from them. So I look for the Niners to play pretty well. They're building a great young defense out there in San Francisco as well. So, I think the Niners, in our pick'em, I took Seattle, but I think the Niners will actually give them a bit of a fight. I think it'll be a close game.
Yeah, I agree.
One thing we do need to note is that Vernon Davis is going to be out. Looks like 2 to 4 weeks with his knee. I'm glad I didn't get him and listen to the hype. Mr. Click Clack. He can go away for all I care. I'm tired of him. So
we've been calling him a bust on this show
for a long
all year
time. Yeah,
so far. So happy about that, I guess. I mean, you don't want to rejoice in someone's injury, but
it's
just
the only people that wish they had Norv Turner back as offensive coordinator, or besides San Francisco, was probably San Diego.
Yeah.
So Alex Smith has struggled because the receivers just aren't that good. He and Darrell Jackson haven't gotten on track yet. Frank Gore is pretty much the only starter I see on this game as far as San Francisco goes.
One reason why the Niners defense is so good is because of Walt Harris. one cornerback, and Nate Clements the other. That's possibly the best two cornerbacking tandem in the entire league. So they're going to hold down Deion Branch, Bobby Ingram, and whatever piece of crap that Seattle wants to throw out there to try to catch the ball. Tampa Bay at Carolina, our final matchup of this segment. Upstart Tampa Bay team, John Gruden's really got this squad playing on every side of the ball, and it's interesting. They go into Carolina in a big Southern Conference or Southern Divisional matchup. I like Carolina here in this game just because I think Carolina is a better all-around team.
I really don't know who to pick in this game. I really don't. As far as fantasy goes, I think if you needed a bye week guy, I know we keep talking about the bye weeks, but they're so important. Getting through these first few bye weeks is what's going to make your season.
Yep.
Get Jeff Garcia if he's available. Carolina's been getting lit up through the passing game. So get Jeff Garcia. Joey Galloway should be in your lineup. If you're in a really deep league, go with Maurice Stovall if you need to. Cadillac and Ernest Graham, both of those guys. Cadillac's been dinged up. He's getting the goal line looks now, so Cadillac owners have to love that. On the Carolina side of the ball, another tight end that I was talking about on my article on the website is Jeff King.
Hey, man, I'm glad you brought him out, dude, because I was going to drop him too, man.
Well, I'm sorry.
Great minds think alike. That's one reason why we do this show
I'm
together.
sorry I stole your thunder.
No, you didn't
Jeff
steal
King,
it, man.
But,
you brought it out.
So, anyway,
Kabam!
Jeff King is a guy that you're definitely going to want to get to help fill in for your bye weeks as well. Deshaun Foster had a great game last week, and until he gets hurt, which could be any time now, I'm not going to predict that one, but until he gets hurt, it looks like he's going to be the guy.
It seems like Deshaun Foster makes a great buy low kind of guy because although he's been producing, his value hasn't really crept up much in the minds of the other fantasy owners that we know. And if you can go out there and get him, sell on a high player, maybe like a Portis, for a Deshaun Foster and a Lee Evans type or something like that, you might find some success here as the values come back and refluctuate.
One thing we do need to touch on this game is as of right now, Delhomme is still iffy. David Carr could be the starter. So, if you have Jake Delhomme, I don't know if I want to be rolling with David Carr against the way that Tampa Bay defense has been playing. I move out of Tampa, the Yeastie curse is lifted. Look at him, bro. See?
And now you're here.
I'm telling you.
This is what's going on with the Vikings.
And I'm going to be at the game on Sunday, folks. So
seriously, dude, I'm telling you that if it continues like this, man, that noose right there, you're going to get to know real well.
I don't have a neck, bro, so it doesn't matter.
No, but I personally say to temper your expectations on Steve Smith here this weekend. I think that Tampa Bay is going to work all this week on containing him, and I don't think that the huge game that we've come to know out of Steve Smith is going to happen. I think he was good for like 10 yards last week, and teams are starting to see that if they can take him out of the game, they have a much better chance of beating this Carolina team. So it's going to be a tough game, hard-fought game, probably in the neighborhood of like 17-13, I would think. And this game really could tell the tale in a division now all of a sudden where it's open for the taking, Carolina or Tampa Bay. Either one of those teams could take this division home. So it could tell the tale here in this very, very crucial Week 4 matchup. So make sure to stay tuned. You're watching Testosterone Sports. I'm Jeff. This is Yeastie bringing you all the knowledge, and we'll be right back after this sweet break.